Hi, how are you? I'm the lawyer Germán Enriquez, owner for the law firm in Mexico, Justicia Transparente Criminal Attorneys. Okay, in this video, we are talking about for a very easy practice guide for the people who is travel frequently from the US to Mexico. Results that a lot of people is arrested in that Tijuana custom, in the Tijuana land custom, like San Isidro, for example. So maybe you don't know, but in most of the cases, the people is arrested for a crime. Maybe if you have a firearm with you, without the permit for the Mexican authority, who is the Mexican Army, you can be arrested in Tijuana Customs. Maybe if you have marijuana or maybe cannabis to Mexico, you can be arrested in the custom to try to introduce drugs into Mexico. And another crime, another frequent crime is be arrested with checks for $2,000 or more, or maybe if you have merchandise for $3,000 or more. Because in Mexico, if you don't pay taxes for that money or that checks, you can be arrested for smuggling. Okay? So in most of the cases, the people or our customers told me or asked me, lawyer Germán Enriquez, it's not a crime. My relative or my husband, my son is not a criminal. Yes, I understand that. But in the Mexican law, that is not an argument to try to release your relative. We need to defend him. We need to defend him, and we need to release him or release her in the prosecutor offices the first 48 hours. It's for that in this moment I'm going to talking about for a guide what to do if you have this problem. First of all, we are talking about for the preventive actions. Preventive actions before being arrested. And the first one is easy. And what is that? First of all, is return to the United States before entering customs. This is the first preventive action that you need to do. If you have with you firearms or bullets or marijuana or cannabis or checks or merchandise for $10,000 or more, go back to United States, because it's important that you know that in the custom it's the Mexican Army. The Mexican Army has soldiers in the customs, and the soldiers and the Mexican Army knows that US citizens in most of the cases or regularly has weapons or has drugs with them. Okay, so it's for that it's regular that the Mexican Army check your car, check you, and if they found that weapons or that marijuana or cannabis, you are going to be arrested. Okay, so please, if you are seeing this video, return to US and don't carry with you that weapons or that stuff, because it's a crime in Mexico. Okay, the second advice for you is that if you enter to the lane, please go to the self-declaration lane. If you remember that you have the objects or that amounts with you. Okay, what does mean? If you are in the lane to US to Mexico and you cannot go back to US, go to the self-declaration lane, because if you declare to the Mexican authorities that you forgot your weapon or you forgot the cannabis or the checks or the money with you, it's the Mexican authority cannot arrest you because it's not a crime. You don't try to put in danger the public security or the health for the Mexican people, who is the If for that it's a crime, go with weapons or go with drugs into Mexico, because you put in danger the public security or that the Mexican health. Okay, so if you go to the self-declaration lane in Mexico, there is no crime. It's an spontaneous attitude for you, and you can go back to US and you are not going arrested and sent to the prosecutor office in Mexico. So please, if you are in the lane in this moment, please go to the self-lane declaration. Okay, so we are talking about if you are arrested. If you see that video and you are arrested in Mexico, the first thing that you need to know is that if you are in Tijuana, you are sending your relative is transferred to the prosecutor offices. And where is that prosecutor offices? It's regular that our customers ask me, lawyer, what is the prosecutor offices? I don't know where I need to go. Okay, so well, the prosecutor offices, and you can see in this video, it's in the Boulevard General Abelardo L. Rodriguez 2930 in Zona Urbana Rio in Tijuana. In that video, in the description, I'm gonna put the location for the prosecutor offices and where it's gonna happen. What's happening in the prosecutor offices? Your relative, the first 48 hours or the 2 days, is gonna be arrested in that place. And it's very important that in the first minute or the first hour that you know that your person or that your relative, your dad, your son, whatever, whoever is arrested, call as soon as possible to us, to Justicia Transparente, because we can try and we have the opportunity to release him or release them as soon as possible. Because the first 48 hours of arrest is the most important time to try to release. Because in this moment, the prosecutor offices can determine that your relative is not guilty. But if we don't work in the first 48 hours, the prosecutor is going to transfer your relative to the judge, and in front of the judge, in court or in hearing in front of the court, it's more difficult to release your relative. So please call us in the first 48 hours of arrest. It's important that you know that we are listed in the list of lawyers for the U.S. consulate in Tijuana. We have good reviews on Google, and you can see our work in our website, so you can trust on us. Okay, we're going to talk to another way to release the people who is with you, and it's usual too that when the people is arrested in the customs, in the Tijuana land customs, is arrested not just the driver, the co-driver and the passengers. If you have interest to release the passenger or the co-pilot, the co-driver, it's more easier to do that. But you need a criminal defense attorney like us as soon as possible, because we need to prove in front of the prosecutor that that person is not guilty. Is not guilty for the crime to have a weapon for the exclusive use for the Mexican army, have cannabis. Well, it's important. It's not easy, but we can do that with legal arguments. So it's important that you take the decision fastly to hire a criminal defense attorney in this moment, because after the 48 hours, all the people is going to transfer in front of the judge, and the judge can order that your relative is stay in jail. So this is the risk that we need to reduce. Okay, so please call to us as soon as possible. And the last advice: if your relative or your loved one stay in jail after 3 days that it was arrested in customs, call us, because that means that the judge ordered that your relative, your dad, your son, your wife, your husband, whoever, the judge ordered that this person needs to stay in jail. So this is a stressful moment. But in Justicia Transparente, my law firm, we have a defense strategy to release him. How? Because in Mexico, it cites, like in US, it's a precedent. And that precedent, the judge can order that your relative release. Your relative release and get his release as soon as possible, because staying in jail violating his human rights. Okay? But this is not an easy defense strategy. We need to promote the judge a lot of arguments and a lot of motions to try to release them. Okay? So why is it so difficult? Because the US citizen has not an address, has not a house in Mexico. And the judge can explain that it's difficult to order the release for the people who doesn't live in Tijuana or in Mexico, because that people is gonna go again to US and never go back to Mexico to respond for the accusation. And yes, in part that is true, but for another side, the lawyers can argue in front of the judge that motion or that order violating the human rights for the US citizens who is arrested in Mexico. Why? Because in Mexico, all the people who is in Mexico, US people, Mexican people, Arabian people, whoever has the human rights that establish the country of Mexico. So the US people is not that exception, okay? So please call us as soon as possible and we can help you to release that people, okay? Remember, I'm the lawyer Germán Terriquez, lawyer for Justicia Transparente Criminal Attorneys, and you can contact us in the phone number who appears in this video and the link description. And remember, we are the best lawyers in Baja California and Mexico, so please call us and we are here to help you. Thank you.